everyone, and welcome back to Thanks, It's Vintage by VDV Select. We are filming here today at Vino Divino in Kenmore Square. That's Kenmore Square, not Kendall Square. Everybody gets that
distinction
mixed up, right? Boston versus Cambridge. We are in Boston. We are right by Fenway Park. My name is Andrew. I'm your co-host, manager of VDV Select, our wine concierge program. And
my name is Lydia. I am the district manager for Vino Divino. And the other co-host.
Yeah.
There are two of us.
Excited to get into things today. Our topic, we're going to be talking about Bordeaux.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about where Bordeaux
Very
is.
Very fascinating.
I know. It's been a journey for this region. But first, what were you drinking this weekend?
I actually went to New York, and hence the gravelly voice today. I went to a wine bar. I think it was kind of the Village area, maybe Chelsea, maybe Soho. I was not really paying attention, to be honest. Called Layla Bar or Leela Bar, not sure. Anyway, it was a great time. And they had a mystery wine tasting. And if you got it right, you got 50% off your second beverage. So I did that because we need to practice blind tasting. Nailed it.
You nailed it.
I nailed it only because he gave me the list. I was like, that's too much of a giveaway. And I think I would have gotten there, but there was a bit too much help. But it was a ton of fun, and we drank a Couté Barsac.
Oh.
That was really fun. And I ended the night, after dessert wine, I ended up getting a Slovenian Blaufränkisch, which was really interesting. Yeah. Ooh. Really cool.
That's
My husband did not care for it.
Oh.
He's not a natural wine kind of guy. We'll talk about that on another episode.
That's a category.
that's going to be a topic at some point. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely funky and it was cool, but it was, chillable and delicious. Very, very juicy.
Right.
What did you drink?
So this weekend I went out with a friend. My husband was working. So this was actually on Friday. He was working in admissions, because that's what he does, works for BU. And he was traveling down to Texas, and unfortunately his flight was severely delayed, so he did not get to join our friend who I went out with, but we went to Crossy first.
Nice. Heard very good things.
Oh, the food is amazing. If anyone hasn't been to Crossy, amazing Greek food.
I've been to one of their partner restaurants.
That's right, there are a couple.
Bar Vlaha.
Yeah. Yes. I have not been there yet, though.
Ooh, it's good. It's very good.
They even make your tzatziki tableside.
Oh, at the table? That's nice.
Which is really fun. It's
Yeah.
really cool. But he's been getting more interested in like wine and very interested in, what are all these varietals and styles. And so ordered a bottle of Muscofilero, which was absolutely beautiful.
I do love Muscofilero.
I mean, it's Saint Germain in a bottle, or Saint Germain in a bottle. That is in a bottle. Saint Germain in a wine, in a different bottle,
in a different size bottle.
It's that elderflower, kind of flavor, that I really love with Muscofilero. He loved it, and then we went and we had a nightcap at Bubble Bath in Back Bay as well, on top of the Citizen M Hotel. Another place that if no one has been, they should definitely go.
Very fun.
A lot of fun, incredible wines, incredible list. Ever changing, so you got to keep going back.
And really good service. They all know their stuff.
Excellent service.
In and out.
Excellent service.
Yeah.
Yep. And we had a Bandol Rosé while we were there. Again, another wine that he had not been introduced to. That he was like, he goes, this is not your average rosé. Like, this is textured and has a little more body to it, and it's refreshing, especially on a cool night. Actually, it's the perfect rosé for winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got more body.
Yeah.
More energy.
More. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Perks you up on a sad, cold night.
Right.
Speaking of which, the weather last night, we got home to torrential rain. What was going on?
I don't know. The winds were horrible. I closed my windows. The sills were just wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, side note. Great.
Well, shall we get into our topic today?
Get into the wine. Absolutely. So I did a crash course last night.
Okay.
Bordeaux is not my focus, never has been. Very much your strong suit.
Definitely one of my strong suits.
And, you know, there's a lot to learn about these ancient regions. There's a lot going on right now, which is, and has been for the last, well, I mean, we could argue a while, but the last 2 years have been pretty significant.
Oh, yeah. It's not been good for Bordeaux. So a little bit of a crash course on Bordeaux and just like the history. This is a region that is no stranger to change. It has been changing constantly.
Yeah.
First with wines being brought to the region by the ancient Romans. So there was already an existing town there when it was the region of Gaul back during ancient Rome. And when Caesar conquered Gaul, part of the Roman, occupation of the region included, taking over these little, villages and cities that had already been existing, and Bordeaux was already existing. I cannot, for the life of me, remember what the name of the region of the city was before Bordeaux. It's going to hit me at some point, hopefully. But they brought viticulture there because the region was rich in mining materials, and that was what that's what the Romans went there for.
Yeah.
But vines were brought anyway.
Which is what the Romans did
Everywhere.
all over Europe.
All over the place. There's a reason that that's the reason Europe has so much wine.
Yeah.
It's because of the Romans.
Is the Romans.
They were like, well, it's not going to keep on the journey, so we'll just bring the vines and replant them over here. So, that's how old Bordeaux's wine history is. It goes all the way back to there. And then it continued on. It continued on with Aquitaine, which is the surrounding larger region that is, where Bordeaux is in France, being controlled by the English for a good chunk of history. It didn't go back to France until the end of the 100 Years' War, and then the French were able to take Aquitaine back, including Bordeaux. But in that time, the English got a really good taste for Bordeaux and ended up loving it. The caveat here, though, and this is the thing most people don't know, at this time in history, Bordeaux was primarily like white wines.
Yes.
And white wine didn't look the same as it does today because skin contact was still a thing, but they were not heavy on red wines, heavier on white wines and on sweet wines at that time. But because the English got this taste for it, it started this trade. And this is where the whole Bordeaux trade began, with the merchants really controlling all the properties. And so then you can fast forward up to the famous, designation of properties, and in their, who's good and who's not good, basically. With, the exhibition of Paris and Napoleon III. Basically using what was a merchant handbook to say, oh, yeah, this is
categorically
what it is, right? Here's the best ones,
list.
Here's the lower quality ones, right? In reality, that list he pulled that created the growth system was really just who was selling the most. It had nothing, and for what prices. It had nothing to do with quality.
And I'm sure there was personal choice involved as well.
Right. But it did somehow translate to quality as well, because some of those first growths we now revere because those wines are some of the greatest in the world. And
you can argue that's
it's always an
fame
argument,
and money.
right? It's always an argument.
They got the money. To be great.
And of course, these wealthy merchants, they built grand chateaus and all this stuff. There's a lot of money flowing through Bordeaux for the longest time. Bordeaux's had its ups and downs. They dealt with phylloxera. They dealt with the Great Freeze. The Great Freeze happened right after World War II. That is when Bordeaux had basically... They had officially at that time finally switched from primarily white wines to red wines, so people don't realize it's not even been 100 years that Bordeaux has been primarily a red wine region.
And
white
that's
wine was
famously
dominant.
when Malbec went completely out of fashion.
Exactly.
Because it mostly died.
Right. Yeah.
And they've replanted with Cabernet Franc. So it really changed the quality of the wines.
Yeah. And then Merlot.
The style of the wines.
Merlot became the big one on the right bank
Merlot,
at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not been... Bordeaux has been this region that has ever been changing. It's been dealing with war, disease, weather effects, who owns who owns them, you know, has been a constant, right?
Yeah.
Not so much in recent history. It's firmly French, and I don't think we're ever going to see that change now. But you know, this is the region we're talking about. So obviously they're in this moment of trying to adapt right now to a wine market that's on the downward trend. Although many people are saying obviously we're about to see the bottoming out of that. So I think we're close to.
We feel close to it.
Feel close to it.
Yeah, if we haven't reached it, it seems close.
Yeah. But for Bordeaux, this is especially bad. And that's because Bordeaux has been a region where the wines need time. And so they need to be in a cellar. And we're dealing with a couple of things all converging at the same time here. One is that you've got a reduction in demand for the wines. And Bordeaux is a huge region. In 2019, they produced like, I want to say it was 500 million bottles of wine as a region.
Yeah.
For context, for anyone listening and watching, California is 90% of U.S. wine production. California as a state produced 700 million bottles of wine that same year. And Bordeaux is one region in a country that is not as large as California, land-wise, right? So Bordeaux is a powerhouse. Like, to say it is anything else is just doing it disjustice. Like, this is a powerhouse region. But these wines, again, they need time. That's how they've been designed. And because of that, you need collectors, you need buyers, and you need people with cellars and people with deep pockets to basically put them away. Because many of these like first and second growths, they're not ready to drink. They're very tannic. They've got a lot of, you know, like really kind of like flavors to them and feelings and, you know, texture and aromas that you really need time to do it justice and kind of like soften everything out and allow those secondary and tertiary flavors to come forward. Otherwise, these wines are just, they're not that impressive. And I can say that because I've had some first growths recently. And they were very young because the client insisted on that, on tasting them, you know, and they weren't ready. They were, I was not impressed with a $1,000 bottle of wine because it wasn't ready. It's designed to need time. So there, you know, this market that's been designed like this is now dealing with the fact that there's this lower demand. It's like, what do you do?
Well, I think that's an interesting conversation because there is the elite high end of Bordeaux, which has always existed and has always had international traction. Not so much in the last 10 years,
right?
Really. That has been a significant change. But then there's this other side of Bordeaux, which is just pumping out made to drink now, affordable, like decent for the most part, wines that aren't made to cellar. And that market exploded like in the last 20 to something years. And that has also significantly diminished. So we're dealing with two very different markets that are both suffering for very different reasons.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, the other thing about Bordeaux for the high end side of it is that like it has always been defined by the international demand. And just like Australia, China has been the biggest market for the past, I don't know, I'm not going to guess, but I'm going to guess at least a decade.
I think it's been like 2 decades.
2 decades is fair to say. And then about a decade ago, there was a targeted campaign to stop people drinking in China. And that, as well as all the other things, COVID, the international market just drinking less overall, that has just compounded in the premium section. But then we also have this generational shift where there was a demand for a £2.50 or €2.50 bottle of Bordeaux for a long time, and now there just isn't. Like, that has just dropped out of the market. And there's just this oversupply. Also, I think in like 2015, it was the first year that they'd had an undersupply.
Yeah.
And they planted a ton of vines after that to try and balance it. And now
Now there's too much. Yeah.
There is a governmental push to rip out vines.
Right. And and it's interesting. It's not. This is also something that's not just focused on the wine industry. We're seeing this across the entire alcoholic beverage industry,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Tequila had that same issue. Where there was not enough, and so they planted more Blue Weber agave all over Mexico. And now this year's harvest, there's a massive amount of basically tequila.
Yeah.
More than there is demand. But they were forecasting for demand like 5 to 10 years ahead of time because it needs, obviously the plant
Obviously
needs
it needs to
time
grow.
to mature and
Yeah.
grow. And
Yeah.
that's what they were working towards, right? So, yeah, Bordeaux obviously did the same thing. And you're right, it is a two-tier problem. And this is where I really feel for the smaller producers because the bigger producers have a
Yes.
lot of money. There's a lot of money and a lot of patience that they have. They can weather this storm. That is not an issue for them. Nobody is crying for Chateau Aubriand. Nobody is shedding
No.
tears for Chateau de
They
Cam, right? These are
Will survive.
big juggernauts.
And they will
that-
survive well.
Yeah, they'll be just fine,
Yeah.
right? But you're right, it's those smaller guys, which is really, really unfortunate because those are the farmers. Those are the small family farmers
Yeah.
who are wondering what's next for them. Luckily, some of them have pivoted, and we're starting to see, because the wine market is changing, right? So this was the interesting thing that I wanted to bring to the table that was really fun. I was watching about this actually just last week. Essentially, they were seeing another pivot in Bordeaux right now. So Cremant de Bordeaux
Yes.
is something that most people don't realize
Yeah.
exists, right? They know Cremant de Bourgogne, they know Cremant de Alsace, but a lot of people don't know Cremant de Bordeaux exists. So we have sparkling wine production in Bordeaux. It's always been very tiny. It's always been very difficult to find Cremant de Bordeaux. I have struggled sometimes to find anybody in any city in the country who has it. And here in Boston, I think historically, I've generally only found one or two producers of it. But I'm seeing more of that come up, and that's what you're seeing a lot of those small families doing in Bordeaux. There's actually a large cooperative there that makes Cremant de Bordeaux, and they're getting more
That's really
membership,
cool.
and
Okay.
more of these small families are
Yeah.
starting to hand over their grapes, keeping the profits in-house, and meeting a new market demand for sparkling wine that's ever growing, which is kind of fascinating to see.
Well, I'm also hearing that there is a pivot to lighter reds.
Yes.
That they are using less oak. They are actively bringing the alcohol down. They're just picking earlier. They're doing whatever it takes to change what has been a very stable style.
Right.
Because the demand is changing. People don't want these insanely heavy reds that need, well, that's an exaggeration, folks. They're in balance. They're beautiful.
Right.
But the younger generations just, they're not after that.
No.
Right now.
It's kind of interesting though that that's the case because I don't know how it is for everyone. Everyone is, everyone's different, right? But for me, I want a heavy red when it's super cold out. There's something comforting and warm about that. But you're still seeing, this generational shift where they are drinking light, crisp styles of wine in like weather conditions that historically those have been the times we see the spike for red wine, including bigger, bolder reds too.
But also it's a question of like Bordeaux is made for food. The reds are
It is.
made to be drunk with food.
Yes.
There's no one sitting at home on the couch watching Survivor drinking Chateau Latour. Like that's not a thing. But I think also that is something that has drastically changed.
Right.
Not necessarily in France. That will always be the case, I think. I think that's a fair thing to say. But everywhere else in the Western world, I think it's fair to say that the young generations are thinking less about food pairing.
Right. Yeah. Well, in terms of pairing. I don't have anything for us to pair with it today, but I did bring a bottle from my own cellar.
I'm very excited.
So that we could taste a little Bordeaux while we keep talking about it.
Tell me about the maker.
Have you had Chateau Chauvin?
I have not.
Chateau Chauvin is one of my favorite producers. The thing that everyone should know about this property, one, it's female-owned, it's woman-owned, and the second thing is it's in Saint-Emilion. So for anyone who's not familiar, Bordeaux has the left bank and the right bank. We always talk about Bordeaux in this sense, and that's because you have the river dividing. It's actually not a river, it's an estuary, the Gironde, is dividing these two sides. And on the left bank, which is also where the city of Bordeaux is, there's your Cab dominant blends. They're always blends, but Cabernet Sauvignon is the dominant grape in every one of those blends.
And it's the most planted on that side.
Yes, and for good reason. And that's because the soils there are naturally sandy, gravelly, and therefore what ends up happening is they retain a lot of heat and not a lot of moisture. That's great for Cab. Cab is actually a late ripening grape. And because it's a late ripening grape, that extra heat that comes up into the canopy that's absorbed by the ground from when it's nice and sunny ends up speeding up the process. And that's what gets you to harvest at the right time. Whereas on the right bank, it's Merlot dominant. And it's the opposite going on there. It's clay heavy soils that do retain moisture and are cooling soils. And Merlot is a early ripening grape, but if you can slow that process down, cool it off, helps to stretch out that process of ripening, and therefore you get, again, harvest at the time that you want it to happen, where the grape has developed how it should, right? So you slow down that ripening process when you have a cooler soil. And that's what we have here, Saint-Emilion, Merlot dominant. But the cool thing about this property is this is like a sommelier's secret. Now I'm sharing the secret out there, right?
Yeah.
But I do want people to know about it. These are excellent wines. Chateau Chauvin is one of the few wines in all of Bordeaux that you will find wine professionals say it gets better every year, even in not good vintages. Somehow they still pump out incredible wine. But then you look at their history, which we'll just briefly dive into, and that is they sit across the street from Chateau Figeac and Chateau Cheval Blanc.
Okay.
Two well-respected...
Massive names.
Yeah, massive names, juggernauts. We're talking bottles that are $1,000 a bottle for Cheval Blanc and $500 a bottle for Figeac, and this is $75 a bottle retail.
Wonderful.
And this property used to be owned by Figeac.
Okay.
Figeac got split up.
I did hear about that. Okay.
So it's not encompass all the property that that Figeac used to have. Not the case anymore. This is one of those properties.
Okay.
And here we are with stellar, like
And did the people that
Merlot
bought it at the time, are they still
this is
the owners?
This is the
at this point?
same owners.
Okay.
Yep. So we're all good here.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use the Corvin.
Crack into it. Should we take the foil off?
And we talked about the fact that, these wines need a little time or oxygen, so I brought my attachment for the Corvin so we can aerate it.
And what's the vintage?
This is 2019.
Okay.
So this should be drinking pretty well, but we were just talking about that. Bordeaux tends to need time, and this could probably still use some more time. It'd probably get better, honestly. But this is a way to taste, I think, top-tier right bank Merlot without breaking the bank.
You can already see the color change. Red tablecloth is not...
I know.
It's not an amazing background.
Probably should have had, white for us to be able to look at the color more properly.
We'll get some mattes, folks. Don't worry. Wow.
I just don't want... Look at that. We're going to...
That is...
Don't worry, folks. I'm sanitary. I will absolutely wash all of my wine gadget tools before using them with somebody else. Oh, I can see the sediment in the bottle here. Look at...
Yeah.
See that?
I mean, 2019, it's one of those things where I still think of 2019 as not that long ago, but actually when you stop to think about it, it's so much has happened
Yeah.
since 2019, and this is not a young wine anymore.
No, it is not.
Oh, it is very nice on the nose.
Oh, wow. See,
Yeah.
this is a wine. Like, you can tell if this was, a more, what's the words I'm trying to use here, right? If this was a current vintage, like, release, we'd probably be, I would think maybe 2023 now might be current vintage release for them, maybe 24. Depends on how long they hold it back. But we're not. And even just a couple extra years does a lot of work here. Like, there's a lot of, like, floral and, barrel aging, aromas that are definitely coming through with this.
And the fruit is not fresh in the best way.
Yeah.
It's
cooked.
It's cooked and...
It's like, baked pie kind of fruit.
Yeah, mulberry pie, if that's a thing.
Oh, wow. Beautiful on the palate. But those tannins are still present.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, right, like, that's what we're talking about with Bordeaux. It's like it's the tannins. It's
Yeah.
the tannins. I mean, it's a lot of other things, but they really need time to
Yeah.
soften. Like, these would definitely be a lot more aggressive if this was younger. And still, those tannins are grippy, even with a little bit of age to this. This is why I love Merlot.
And this is the... I mean, again, it's my inexperience with Bordeaux speaking, but I'm always surprised when all of the nose is developed flavors, and then on the palate, it's still so fresh.
Right.
It's still so... I mean, I'm not getting nearly as much of the cooked qualities on the palate. It's
Right.
still quite vibrant in the glass.
Well, and this is a wine that if you let it go another 5 years, I think the palate would start to showcase what you're getting on the nose. That's the hardest part of Bordeaux, right? That's the thing that,
Nice.
it needs time to develop, and if you can't give it time to develop, then it's not going to present itself in the way that it's intended to be presented.
It's actually
a
quite...
double-edged sword, right?
It's a bit of herbal, like thyme coming through.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. And it's really gorgeous. It's a gorgeous nose.
It smells really, for want of a better word, like luxurious on the
Yes,
nose. It really does.
It does. Beautiful wine. Always, these wines are always just beautiful. I can't get enough of them. And I'm personally a right bank drinker over left bank.
Okay, yeah. I would say I'm the same.
I have plenty of left bank in my collection at home, in my cellar, but I prefer right bank.
I think I do, but to be fair, I haven't had first growth right
I'm gonna open
left
some
bank.
more bottles for you so we can figure this out.
We need to figure this out. Yeah,
I'm gonna get some more. We'll
I'm gonna
start
let him
tasting
pay
through
for
this. Yeah, I'll pay for it.
This is gorgeous.
Right? So this is, I mean, and here's the other piece to this as well, and this is something interesting too that's going on with Bordeaux right now, is that you talked about, the Chinese market being big for them at one point, which it was. It was a huge market for them.
They were the biggest export market.
Are also a large market for Bordeaux as well.
Yeah.
But China, of course, is also developing their own wine regions right now.
Yes.
And so the government there is really pushing for their
Local drinking.
Their citizens to be drinking local.
Which I get. I mean, Australia does the same.
Right.
Australia pushes Australian wine.
Totally get too.
It's a national
hard part
pride
here
thing.
is that Bordeaux has a big secondary market, and it was dominant. So in 2010, it comprised, I want to say it was something like 95% of secondary wine market sales were Bordeaux, which makes total sense. When you're building wines that can age for decades, that creates the perfect conditions for people to resell those wines after holding them for a number of years when you can't get that vintage anymore, and it happened to be a outstanding or excellent vintage. Now it's like 40%. So it dropped
Right.
from 95% of the resale market to 40% of the resale market
That's huge.
in just
Yeah.
2 decades, which is a huge drop, and it really
Yeah.
contributes again to this problem of like oversupply.
But isn't there a move in Bordeaux for the houses to be holding on to the wine themselves now?
There is a move to do that now, and I'm-
that's going to change their power play in that
yes,
field.
Yes, and I think that that's.
But
actually,
again, I think that's probably only the richest houses that have the space and the time and the money to do that.
right, and I think
Yeah.
that that's the issue here is that you need to have the space, the time, and the money. I don't think it's a bad move per se, but it's going to
Yeah.
require a lot of help for those in the region who can't do that, who may be making that mix of like young and ageable wines, right? Like young, ready to drink now wines and the wines that are designed to age, who just might happen to be smaller properties, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. I did hear someone say that they, in terms of the higher end market, the people with money who routinely have historically been investing in wine in a collective mentality, not in a I'm buying this to drink. They are buying it to hold and resell much down the line. Those people were just not present in the last year.
No.
Like they've moved on to other things,
Yeah.
which is so dramatically effective, like affecting to that market. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's
I mean, they've had a 30% drop in prices
Yeah.
on some of the largest properties. So we're talking those first growths. Many of them have done a 30% drop year over year in prices for their bottles on offering.
and we haven't even talked about on Primeur,
We haven't even talked about Umbra,
Yeah.
which has also been
which is
struggling.
it's been struggling, but it's I mean everything we've talked about is why it's been struggling. Like it's,
Right.
it is very much a part of this cycle that we're in.
I think that the other issue too is you had, and this speaks I think to On Premier as well. You have a lot of people who have purchased a lot of Bordeaux as well, who have money. They're a bit older now, right? But they purchased so much of it.
Yeah.
And I've heard this from buyers. I've heard this from buyers and collectors where they're
Right.
like, I just have so much, I can never possibly drink all of this.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of fed the whole craze for Bordeaux as well. Let's call it a craze, right? I think that is an accurate...
Well, it was a bubble.
Oh, or
It
a
definitely
bubble,
was a
right?
financial bubble that has burst.
But
we can
it's-
say it has
It's definitely burst.
Yeah.
But that, I think, also helped to create this problem as well, where people were just buying more than they ever were going to need. And not every one of them had the mindset of secondary selling.
Right.
But now they're realizing after these wines are coming to age, right, where they can actually be consumed, where they're in their prime drinking window, right, that they are now like, oh no, I have way too much. And that's also an issue as well because,
But then we had a bad vintage.
yes, we did.
And the en primeur system, would you like to just briefly
so for
touch
anyone
on
who
that?
doesn't know what en primeur is when they basically sell the wine before it's been bottled. So it's still
So
in
it's
barrel.
in barrel.
Yep,
It sounds like the most intense experience
it is. So they do
for
this
the people that buy it.
1 week every year. It's in late April, and then after they basically showcase all the wine. After that week in April, then it's released for sale. And these are significantly reduced prices. You can get 50, 60, sometimes 70% lower than what that price will be when it actually is bottled and shipped over here.
But it is a gamble.
It is a gamble.
So these people, from what I've read, they have a half-hour window to taste these wines, judge them, and then decide whether they're going to buy them or not.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
I think it's a system that does need to be slightly reformed in that regard because that's
Yeah.
not good. The other issue too is, it really hurts a lot of the smaller houses in Bordeaux because these are going to be the houses where you could get the absolute best deal possible. But having that tiny window to taste, a lot of those buyers, They're running to the bigger properties. They're running to the
Of
first, the
course.
second, the third growths, right? They only have so much time.
This is the system which has been problematic the entire time. Like
Right.
there's the system doesn't account for the little guys.
No.
It never has. That was never its design.
And it should account for the little guys. It really should.
Well, there's been, what, 2 changes? There's a famous change, and then I think there was another change in maybe the 70s and then the 80s. But either way, 2 houses have had a change to their original status.
Yes.
And that is it.
Yes. So
Since, when was it? 17 something, 55 something? Am I just making numbers up?
no, it's the
1855.
classification of 1855.
I was off by 100 years.
Yes.
That's fine.
But so they've only had one house be admitted to a growth
Okay.
level that
And then one
wasn't there
was
previously,
upgraded.
and that was Chateau Mouton Rothschild. And that's only because
I thought they were upgraded.
so
they
were
went from
upgraded,
second
yeah,
to first.
Yeah, they went from second to first.
Yeah.
But lately, you've had some people dropping out of the classification system. Cheval Blanc, next door
Cheval
neighbor,
Blanc.
right? They shocked everyone when about I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. They announced, "That's it, we're out, we're done. We're just going to produce our wines.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in the classification anymore." And people are like, "What? Why wouldn't you do?"
And that was a direct response to En Primeur, right?
It was a direct response to En Primeur. And then
Yeah.
you've had producers pulling themselves out of En Primeur. And there's more and more of them doing that every year. And that's also in response to how En Primeur is working right now. And it's really, like you said, favoring the bigger houses and not the smaller guys.
But then, like, Cheval Blanc is not a smaller guy.
No.
Hasn't been for a very long time.
I think they got tired of following the rules
Yeah, okay.
when they were like, we know how to make excellent wine. We know how to make top tier Bordeaux.
And we just don't want to have to deal with all of this nonsense.
We don't
Yeah.
want to deal with the paperwork. We don't want to
Yeah.
deal with the nonsense. Yeah, we don't want to deal with the rules, the regulatory, all that kind of stuff. They just wanted to make their wines.
Okay.
And not be beholden to anybody, which I get.
Well, that, I mean, again, that is an international trend. We have, the last 300 to 200 years have been setting up systems, and now those systems, the strain is showing.
Right.
People aren't allowed to be flexible in the ways they want to be flexible. Not that the systems themselves, I mean, people were trying their best. It's like these were systems to protect people
Exactly.
initially. And now there's just a lot of makers that it's so much work.
It is,
to
yeah.
maintain, to be a part of these systems and to maintain attendance in these systems, that they're just deciding to not be part of it at all and go with whatever the generic national or
Yeah.
regional name is,
Yeah.
which is quite dramatic, really.
Yeah, it
when
really
you think
is.
about the styles of wines that are like under pressure to change internationally. But yeah,
Oh,
En Primeur
Bordeaux.
has, I mean, 2024 was the vintage that
Yeah.
really showed the cracks. I mean, probably they were showing already. I'm less experienced with prior to that, but it really does seem like from 2024 we've seen a drastic lessening of En Primeur buying
Yeah.
in general.
They've been seeing weaker demand, and see, this is where it's hard, right? And this is where I it needs some reform, and it needs it like ASAP. I love Bordeaux. I love Bordeaux for its drinkability up front with the smaller producers. I love Bordeaux for the hidden gems, like Chateau Chauvin, where it's like you're gonna get some of the best like Merlot you could possibly get. You know, they're top tier. They don't cost top tier though, but they are top tier. And now we have whole generations that don't understand this region and its complex rules and its complex systems.
Yeah.
And they're shying away from it at a time when it's the perfect time for them to be jumping in and learning and doing something like buying a case or two on Primeur,
And
having it
because
arrive in 2
The
years.
cost is the least it's been
Exactly.
in 10 years.
And then cellaring it. And then opening that wine up in a decade and being like, look at all this cool wine I got for like next to nothing.
But
you
then
know.
again, we're talking, socioeconomics,
And that's a whole nother component to this.
and like the globalization of humanity. Like we are so few people of a younger generation are buying a house and staying there for decades. That's
Right.
just not an option for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't have a cellar. I live in an apartment.
No,
Like,
and
I'm not going to have one for a while.
We
So
all hear me say I have a cellar, but in reality, what I have is
it's
I
a
have
wine fridge. Yeah, which is totally great, and
Right.
that's perfect for apartment living.
Solves
but,
the problem.
Yeah, but
But-
again, it's got a limit. You
It
can't
does.
unless you buy 5 fridges, which takes up an entire room
Yeah.
in your apartment.
Well, and there's always offsite storage, but that gets tricky, and unless
That gets tricky.
you're dedicated to building a decent sized collection over the
Yeah.
years, it's not worth it for what it's going to be, what's going to cost you. But if you are dedicated to that, it's a great solution for anybody who is a bit more mobile.
Yeah,
And
a bit more financially stable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apartment living can have a cellar, just got to get a little creative.
Yeah,
But again, it's got to work for you. Yeah.
exactly. And if people are moving for jobs, or traveling for jobs, it's just not often an option.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love this region so much, but it's on trying times
I'm really
right now.
excited to learn more. Yeah, I mean, it really is. But I think there's so many people really involved in making the right changes. And
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the fact that I think the most dire situation right now is that smaller producers will not survive this giant governmental rip-up of vines. Like,
Yes.
there is money being given per hectare of vines ripped up. There is a plan. It has been instituted, but those without capital,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
No.
They will not make it out of here.
They're trying.
They'll have to pivot. They'll have to leave the industry. And that is a huge shame
Yeah.
for the Bordeaux region. And what comes of it in 10 years' time is just going to look so different.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to plug that we have a wine club
We do.
that focuses on those small family producers. It's mostly going to be mostly focuses on small, lesser known regions or varietals or styles, but sprinkled in are definitely going to be some of the classics. Bordeaux is a classic, and I would love nothing more than to include every so often a incredible bottle from a really small family.
Yeah.
I taste enough of them. They should be given more love. That's a way to give them more love. Any small family producer more love is through our wine club, which is exactly what we do. But if anybody is interested in our wine club, they can definitely go to VDV Select. It's the wine club, but vinodivino.com.
Yes.
And then if you look on the very top of the navigation bar, you'll see it right there in the center. It says wine club. Couldn't have made it easier. So
And it's 4 wines a month?
it's 4 wines a month for $99.
Bargain.
That's a bargain.
And it's curated
It's
by this guy.
highly curated by me. Yes. It's fun. I've worked with a number of wine clubs over the years, and then I built my own sparkling, or I should say, champagne wine club at my previous employer. Left them with that, and it's going really well. So this is now my second wine club that
Yeah.
I've come to build, and
excited.
this one is probably my favorite, actually, out of the two, because it's got a broader reach and it's more family oriented and less one specific region and style oriented. So
Well, I mean, usually the small producers are the ones that are experimenting is a too vague term. They are making what they want to make in
Right.
a really interesting and controlled and beautiful way. So
yeah,
and they're not limited to grapes or styles.
no, they're not, and it helps everyone else explore and discover something new that they may love that they didn't know was out there. So while learning about these families, and even better when you get to meet them, which we have the pleasure of doing sometimes, which is
We
great.
would love to do soon. Yes, for you guys.
Yes,
it will
we'd
be
love
fun.
to get a winemaker on here, which I think we will. We will.
Well,
absolutely. We'll
it
get
will
more than
happen.
one. That will happen.
We just need to plan.
More coming this year.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
This has been a wonderful discussion.
It really has.
And I'm so glad we dived into Bordeaux. We'll come back to this region. There's more to talk about,
Always.
really specific conversations we can get into. But,
I mean, left bank versus right bank would be a great place to start.
we can come back to it for that as well. Yeah. But I thought it was really good for us to talk about the state of the region and where it is and make sure everyone's aware of where it is as a region. So that way we can all support those small family producers a bit more.
And who knows, maybe they'll make a ton more white wine because that's seemingly the trend.
I think they are going to be doing more white wine. And, as you said, lighter reds, that claret style, which we didn't even get into, which is an older style of red from Bordeaux.
That's a whole other thing.
Which looks almost rosé-ish, but it's still light red. That, I think, is going to start coming back, too. We're already seeing some producers. But those are future conversations. We'll get a bottle of claret for that one. That will be fun to taste.
We'll find some great things.
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
And until next time,
Cheers.
Cheers.